Yaron, founder of B Protocol, on simple economic risk approximations. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for participating in this last session of the day. So my talk is about simple economic risk approximation, but also mostly about sort of finding a Uniswap formula for lending market and loan-to-value ratios. So just some quick background on, what is risk management, economic risk management, and loan-to-value ratios. So basically, there are, like multiple parameters that one has to be set in the lending market. In this talk, I will mostly focus on the loan-to-value ratio, which means that basically, if you put some collateral, how much debt you can borrow against it. We're obviously in the permissionless setting. The goal is to make sure that you always have some incentive to repay your loan, because no one can, there are no other means to come and, kind of nicely ask you to, okay, please repay. The only guarantee here is the collateral. Without it, we will end up in some bad debt or other bad event. And the fact is that, risk management, not only in DeFi, in crypto in general, but also in TradeFi, is notoriously known for being, something which is both very political and very kind of human-driven work. We saw bankruptcy recently. Maybe I first should say that, like the inception of Bitcoin roughly came because of the 2008 crisis, where credit score rating agencies, kind of give a very positive ranking for subprime loans. And then came crypto, but of course also with crypto, we saw with the 3 Arrow bankruptcy, Genesis Trade bankruptcy, they just say, okay, maybe let's not, liquidate 3 Arrow because, if we liquidate them, we will lose a lot. If we won't liquidate them, we might profit and they bounce back. And we all know how it happened, how it ended, likely with the bankruptcy of Genesis Trading. With FTX, it's more like a criminal activity and fraudulent intent. But eventually there, they just say, okay, let's not liquidate Alameda. Let them have whatever position they want. And, it also ended badly. But even in regulated markets, this is kind of notoriously bad thing. And again, the 2008 subprime crisis is like the prime example, but we see such examples like on a yearly basis. And and then come DeFi with the promise of, okay, everything is transparent, on-chain. But the reality is that most of DeFi lending markets right now are sort of mostly on-chain banks, where the DAO has to take the trading decision, which is even worse in a sense because, the DAO acts very slowly. It's very hard to understand the intent of the DAO. It's even harder to predict how it will work. And this is an example from the weekend of the USDC depegging. So there was a proposal by Gantland to the Aave DAO to stop and freeze USDC liquidations. The proposal eventually wasn't accepted. Also, I should kind of mention here that the criticism here is not about Gantland. It's very likely that deciding to freeze liquidation would result in better situation for Aave. However, freezing liquidation already brings us to things which are very similar to Genesis Trading and FTX and others. So, okay, now everything is transparent, everything is on-chain, but things are still, unpredictable. You interact with a lending market without really knowing, how it will behave, because the DAO can just, decide to do whatever they want. And then the question is, can we do it differently? And like the kind of the entire DeFi ethos and promise is let's replace as much as the functionality as possible with a smart contract. So here at the BRI protocol, what we propose is to have kind of a Uniswap formula only for loan-to-value ratios, and in the future also for other economic risk parameters. So basically here what we propose is something that kind of gets volatility and liquidity numbers from somewhere, and this somewhere is B protocol. And then given these numbers, it just calculates recommended loan-to-value ratios where it can get additional objective parameters such as debt ceiling and liquidation incentive directly from the lending market. And another important key factor here is some kind of confidence level. So obviously at the end of the day, there are kind of objective metrics, but also if you look at assets like Luna, UST, and others, parameters like volatility won't tell you much, given that like the price is pegged for almost a year, and then completely get crashed. So we do give some room. So we do give some room for some user-specified input, which is kind of the non-measurable parameters that you want to take into account. And then we just output loan-to-value ratio, the minimum loan-to-value ratio that you can set to the platform. And this loan-to-value ratio is something that right now, DAOs are paying, a lot of money for risk vendors to do, actually also paying us to calculate these kind of things. And by kind of delegating it to a smart contract, we potentially get, suboptimal results. However, it's a self-executing smart contracts. So we do get also a lot of benefits and, completely take out of the equation all the political and other factors and make everything more predictable. Another kind of byproduct of this formula is that, okay, if we have, kind of objective market conditions plus some confidence level, then we can get loan-to-value ratios. But we can also apply it to existing lending markets who, with some very complex stress testing simulations already calculated their loan-to-value ratio, but we can reverse engineer it and get what kind of confidence level they had in mind. And by doing so, we are also able to compare now, the confidence level between different lending markets. So this is a joint work with Block Analytica, who are the risk vendor for MakerDAO. What we did here is we took Compound and Aave loan-to-value configurations. We took the objective market parameters, and then we showed, the confidence level for every asset there. So you can see that, maybe unsurprisingly, like Wrapped and Link have roughly the same numbers, at least for Aave. ETH has a lower number, but lower number here actually means higher TVL, likely because, ETH is more reliable. And then like in Uni, we see like a big distinguish between Maker and Compound. And this is also likely because all these LTV parameters are kind of configured, once every few months because they require very heavy governance proposal. And this is something that also a smart contract configuration could avoid, having this tedious governance process and just configure everything on-chain. So this is still very much a work in progress, and this work sort of have two parts to it. One part is, okay, how to actually calculate and, how to build like a robust simulation models for the LTV. And here we intentionally prefer simplicity over accuracy, just because we want to have everything on-chain in a totally predictable way. And, like avoid all the politics that come with DAO decision. And then the other factor here is how to actually put, this data, this input data on-chain, because parameters such as DEX liquidity market volatility are not readily provided by Chainlink. And here we plan to build some kind of consensus model to put this data on chain. So this effort is currently led by Bree Protocol, and RiskDAO is kind of the service arm of B Protocol. But we are also working with other risk vendors. So if you are a lending market, if you are a risk vendor, reach out to us. We can work on new formulas. We can work on formulas for your specific lending market. We can, build smart contracts to automatically configure your LTV ratios, etc. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.